I really think that all in on Caleb is, can we please not have him the most sacked QB by like 1,000,000 sacks this year? Like, please. But part of that is like schemes, man. Like, he's at fault for, I'd say, I don't know, just off the top of my head, he was at fault for 30% of the sacks that he got last season. It can't
He
just be
held it
the
way too
O-line.
long.
You know what I mean? He held it way too long in a bunch of different situations, and I get it. I I can only hope he wasn't freezing up. He was just like believing in his own ability to like extend the
Yeah.
play, which a few times he really was able to do that. It was a little strange for us as Bears fans coming from Justin Fields though, because like he could really extend a play. Like, you don't really need Caleb Williams to do that. You need him to just be like a really sick quarterback. Like, that's what you want. But Justin Fields at his height, he's unsackable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He just starts like just moving around, and you're just like, well, they're not going to get to him. I don't know if we're going to do anything, but they're not going to get to him. And it's fun to watch at the very bare minimum, right? But with Caleb, you're like, all right, this is big boy stuff. Like, we really need you to like release in less than 4 seconds. We need you to like feel the pressure on blind side. But I think we can make a happy marriage. You know, have him at least give him the same offensive line 2 weeks in a row one time, which they did not do for the entirety of last season. You know,
Yeah.
put an offensive line room together where they're their own room. I mean, this is a thing we've seen with every successful team of the past, what would you say, 15 years at least, is the advent of the pass protection offensive line. You know, the guys that kind of cornered the market on protecting Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and, you know, later Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, and like the guys that got them to championships because we moved on to this super air attack pass heavy offense in the NFL. And it was like, well, what do you need when you're passing a lot? You need time. You need the most amount of time possible. And yeah, all those guys I just mentioned could all get the ball out of their hands in less than 4 seconds, or a lot less than 4 seconds, less than 3 seconds half the time. But at the same time, you know, when they needed time, their guys could give it to them. So we're talking about the 80s. It's like those dudes were pushing guys downfield. You know, you had big bodies pushing guys downfield to try to get into the end zone. That's where the game still was. Going in the air, it's still a fledgling sort of offensive line archetype that you're building, right? And the thing that really has seemed to work, even if it's not as like established, just because as what we just discussed, that the pass protection history, is this like Jason Kelce and the Eagles type offensive line where it's like they're actually the stars. They're honestly the stars of the show. Like, you can see, the layman can see why Saquon Barkley is a sick running back, but benefiting so much from the intelligence and footwork of the guy and size. Jesus, the sheer size of the guys in front of him, right? Same thing with Hurts. Like, Hurts was able to have an MVP caliber performance behind one of the best offensive line performances I've ever seen in a Super Bowl. You know, I mean, it was a joy to behold. And who knew we were going to be looking at offensive linemen as the sort of stars of the NFL? Jason Kelce's got a personality. He's on TV now. You know, I mean, it's ever changing in this way. So in that sense, neither of us should be mad if Will Campbell falls to us and we pick him. Neither of us. You know, that's a guy.
I think especially in your instance though, is because like you already have the offensive weapons, right? So you don't need Will Campbell only because of your offseason so far. Like, I know that you don't want to talk about the winners of the offseason, but like your GM went out and got dogs on the offensive line, like actual offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And the goal for the goal for Caleb is to, as long as he has a center and 2 tackles, he doesn't really need guards because he's gonna get he can roll out. For someone like Brady, like back in the day, like he needed a center and 2 guards. Because a tackle, like a blindside tackle, wasn't to get to Brady if he could step up.
That's true. Also, Brady, you remember? I mean, he was never that athletic, but he had super senses for awareness on the blind side. Like, he always sniffed the pressure. So yeah, so it was like he always his footwork was just great. So that, I think Johnson's already called that out for Caleb in the offseason. He's like footwork, like, and it's like, I'm hearing he wasn't working out with his guys in the fucking, in the offseason after he got drafted. I mean, come on, man. You know, like, where was the team going to get the rookie QB and being like, we're going to go out and do this? I already like Caleb's demeanor better this season. I like his whole sort of attitude. He just seems a little bit more confident, like just a little bit less sort of like unsure of himself and like freaked out coming into the NFL. Like, he's established now to a certain degree. And I think Johnson's not an idiot. I don't know if he's going to be a successful coach. He's in a tough spot, but he's not a moron like Eberflus was. He's not, aw shucks. He's like work. So he understands, as I think anybody of any reasonable intelligence would in this situation, is that Caleb Williams is going to be the defining factor of his head coaching career in Chicago. I don't know. I can't predict what's going to happen for him like down the line, but what he does with this second-year QB is very important. So if he went conservative, if you could call it that, despite my rant on stars of the offensive line, and he got a guard and then a lineman, a defensive lineman, and then another guard in the second round, I'd be like, we're fine. I'm good. I'm coasting right down the foot. We're good. The trenches are building. Like, these guys are, maybe they're day one players. Maybe, they should be if it's a first round. Will Campbell should be starting for the Bears if he's somewhere. If we draft him at 10. Second rounders, I'd like you to be able to play. Yeah, for sure. But if we're like stacked at that position, you have time to learn. Cool. That's fine too. That's why I would like to air more like defensive line at that point, because it's like, let's put him in on specialty plays. Like, we know this is a run busting play. Like, let's get him in there and see how he does, like that kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty chill about it, I guess, is what I'm saying to you. And you're saying I should be, which is good. Mel Kiper seems to think so. I'm happy to get excited about the pick if we draft this Tyler Warren feller that you're telling me about, if he really is that good, that dynamic, and going to be that much of a day one weapon for Caleb Williams. I'm happy to get excited about the pick that day. And thanks, because I feel like I had Jeanty in my head the whole entire time. I really was like, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. But you're right. It's looking more and more likely, because maybe I was just stuck in the, like, Sanders is going to Vegas because of like all the kind of hoi polloi surrounding all those conversations. Yeah. I mean, it's been weird. Whatever's happening there has just been strange. It's been like, there obviously is. Am I being a conspiracy theorist when I'm saying that there's obviously like behind the scenes stuff going on? Like, Deion Sanders is talking to teams. Like, that's just for sure true, right?
I think that could be it, but I also think that in the best case scenario for Shedeur is the Saints in reality, because right now, like, if you're worried about his arm talent, or you're worried about his ability to play in the conditions, which I don't think you should be, but what you hear now is they don't know how he would do in Cleveland or in Tennessee. Like, I think that's BS, but in New Orleans, obviously 80 home games are in a dome, right? Your away game in Atlanta is in a dome. You have great weather in Tampa. You have pretty good weather in Carolina. So this is the best case scenario. The majority of his games will be played under great conditions. And this is a team that desperately needs a quarterback. And he could go in there and be the new face of that franchise, which, again, they need. They can separate themselves from Derek Carr if they can, because they're in cap trouble for the next 4 years. So why not get Shedeur now? Shedeur, Alvin Kamara.
Is it completely glib to say like that the New Orleans Saints are a franchise that can produce a team that are better than the sum of their parts from time to time? Like, if the Carolina Panthers don't have a good roster, the Carolina Panthers are not going to be good, right? If the Carolina Panthers have a good roster, the Carolina Panthers might still not be good. If the New Orleans Saints have a bad roster, they might have one or two guys and a home environment and some things just going their way about being the New Orleans Saints, where they like win 9 games, when they should have won 3. The way they started the season last season, even though that obviously faltered, because I did bang that drum of like, don't drive the Derek car. Don't drive the David car. Don't drive the Derek car. Don't drive the any car where in any direction if it's got 2 R's on it, because cars only need 1 R and 4 wheels. And I just really think, even despite that, they still started off as like the most electric offense over the first 3 weeks, right? So they're a franchise where, yeah, I mean, sure, much to my benefit, but the idea of Sanders in New Orleans makes about as much sense as the idea of Sanders in Las Vegas, right? Because it's the kind of market where you kind of need to be, it's different. When you're Drake May coming into New England, you have to show the New England Patriots fans a different thing than you have to show the Las Vegas Raiders fans or the New Orleans Saints fans, right? Or maybe I would extend that to even like an LA. If you're coming in to be the quarterback for the Rams, they've learned to love Stafford and that kind of gritty, like, I get up every morning kind of QB. But they were chilling with Goff for like a few minutes there with that kind of like, all right, yeah, we get that he got the like, top down convertible and he's got a nice house in Malibu and he likes living in LA. Like they love him now, Stafford, as well they should. But there's guys that just fit environments, they don't have to fight against the grain. Fit cultures, if the cultures already sort of exist, So to your point, Yeah, I could see it, and I think that he would probably do pretty well there. All things considered, I think he would
Also
be
because
immediately loved.
they're grading him on the scale of Derek Carr, so he's already favorable, right?
Yeah,
And I mean that team, if they caught lightning in a bottle, like that could be an exciting offense. Just Olave if he's not traded, Kamara, Sanders.
it's
Like that.
giving. It's giving. Willie Beeman comes in. In any given Sunday, it's giving like, okay, yeah, like this is gonna be a lot of fun. Like let's see how this shakes out for everybody. That would be cool. Okay, you're actually calling out all the things Kuiper's saying. He's 100% sure that you're right, and
I
Shedeur
love that for
Sanders
me.
is gonna go to the New Orleans Saints. Jalen Walker was supposed to go to the Panthers in his draft. Membo, the tackle from Mizzou, is supposed to go to the New York Jets.
Yep.
You were right to say he has AJ going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Mason Graham going to Jacksonville. I mean, that's one of those things where it's like Jacksonville could kind of do anything, right? Like they could kind of pick anybody that's still on the board. They're going to be the first like react to the fucking windfall of the first 4 picks team. I guess it's you guys actually. I think like you're kind of nicely positioned at 4th because if anybody makes an egregious error, you're there to pounce.
Right.
But 5, you know, 5 you could like Jacksonville could be in a position where they have no idea what to do, right? Because they're just like, well, the cool thing didn't fall to us in like in an Abdul Carter or like or the former Heisman Trophy winner whose like position is yet to be determined. We just now need to figure out what the fuck we're gonna do. And usually what teams do in that situation, I think, is stick. They don't twist, right? They just sort of go like, just draft the guy we were going to draft already, even though there might have been gold to mine there, because everything's been thrown into disarray because somebody did something weird in the first few rounds. God, I feel like I'm going to go watch Draft Day after this. Kevin Costner, you seen it? It's good.
Love it.
Such a good
Also love
movie.
Kevin
So
Costner.
much fun. So much fun.
The one
Me
thing
too.
that I'll say, the one thing that I'll tell you is, I do think that it's possible that Jeanty goes to the Jaguars because we saw the downfall of Travis Etienne last year.
Yeah.
Tank Bigsby wasn't great, and Jacksonville, for better or for worse, has always had a good running back, like through its
It's true, it's
short
weird.
history.
It's so weird. It's so true.
So I could see, and that wouldn't be a reach. That would fuck up the plans, obviously, for the Raiders. But that would make sense if you want to make sure that you have, Trevor Lawrence as many options as possible, because you're really hoping that Gabe Davis works out, Brian Thomas Jr. works out. I mean, and Etienne was just, I had him in fantasy. Trust me, he fucking blew last year.
Yeah, he sucked.